What if Thrawn joined the Republic during the Clone Wars? That's what I want to go over today, and it's going to take place during a mission that Thrawn finds Anakin Skywalker on. There's a whole novel about it, which I recommend reading, but we're just going to kind of jump in right as that mission wraps up and just change the course of history. So, I hope you enjoy, and yeah, I watched Ahsoka Episode 6 and was like, what a banger. Let's do a Thrawn what if. Alright, let's get right into it. Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala stood with the man called Thrawn on the planet Mokiv. A handful of days ago, Thrawn had been searching the unknown territories for allies to aid future Chiss conflicts, and Thrawn had stumbled upon Anakin. At the time, Anakin was on his own secret mission to find the missing Senator Padme Amidala. The two worked together, Jedi and Chiss, to rescue Padme and destroy a separatist Cortosis mine. Though the destruction of the mine did not go as smoothly as they had hoped, it was destroyed, and they were alive. Now, Thrawn stood here with options for him to pursue. While with Anakin, he had studied the tendencies of this Jedi, and pursued information on the conflict between the Republic and the Separatists. Out here in the unknown regions, there were only whispers and rumors of a war in the Core and Outer Rim worlds, but now with the help of Anakin, Thrawn knew all about this war, and Thrawn was looking for allies to eventually aid his Chiss army in the future. But he was unimpressed with Anakin's description of the Republic. Thrawn thought the Republic to be bloated and inert, where everyone has a voice, but nothing is truly accomplished. Thrawn believed a system of government with so many points of view, styles of political thought, and different philosophies was sluggish and inefficient by nature. But despite all of it, Thrawn was rather impressed with Skywalker, and Anakin was impressed by Thrawn. The man was brilliant. He could see things before they happened, with only the smallest of evidence, like a Jedi without the Force, and his calm, brilliant battle mind worked so well with Anakin's reckless but extremely skilled tactics. And after a moment, Anakin asked Thrawn to come with them, help the Republic win this war, and then the Jedi and clones will then owe Thrawn a favor. Anakin said that he could negotiate a way for Thrawn to be a direct ally to him and the 501st Legion. Thrawn silently considered it, and ultimately he accepted. Having the Jedi and clones on his side could keep his people safe forever, and soon Anakin, Padme, and Thrawn went back to the Republic. In the Chancellor's office, Anakin and Padme were debriefing Chancellor Palpatine on the mission when Anakin introduced Thrawn to Palpatine. Thrawn was immediately super intrigued. As Anakin and Padme spoke to Palpatine, Thrawn remained completely silent, observing Palpatine and carefully looking at the surrounding items in the office. Thrawn was able to look at artwork, ancient objects, and infer a lot about someone. And as Thrawn looked around, he noticed 2 ancient, large, dark urns. There were also 4 large bronze statues that seemed to depict ancient beings of some sort. There was a sculpture on the wall depicting a battle or war from long ago, an ancient chalice colored black and red. Thrawn knew not what exactly these items were, but it was clear they did not fit this current era. For the Republic Chancellor to be so interested in ancient statues and artwork, it told Thrawn many things, but one thought stuck out to him in particular. Palpatine was hiding something, and it was clear that he wanted to express his true thoughts through artwork. This was curious, and finally, Palpatine addressed Thrawn. While Thrawn was taking everything in, Anakin had described their encounter, and asked Palpatine for Thrawn to be a part of Anakin's war effort. At this time, Anakin was often working with Admiral Yularen, but the two just did not work super well together right away. He was better suited for someone like General Kenobi, and Anakin asked Palpatine if Thrawn could join him instead, and he will quickly prove himself, Anakin promised. And Palpatine was intrigued. Allowing someone to just come in and join the Republic ranks like this was rather unprofessional and unheard of, but Palpatine knew legends of these Chiss. He knew they were excellent in battle, and he also knew the Chiss to be excellent at maneuvering through the unknown regions, something Palpatine had a great interest in for the future. So Palpatine granted Thrawn access to work with Anakin in this war. For Palpatine, Thrawn could eventually make a great ally, or he could just be disposed of when the time comes. And Thrawn thanked Palpatine leaving now with Anakin. He was part of the war now, and he had much to do. And over the next couple months, Thrawn would be a quickly growing influence for Anakin Skywalker and those on his command ship. He started by simply studying the Separatists, their leaders, their equipment, every single droid, and their battle strategies. He found the Separatists to be rather interesting, and he quickly found the war itself to be rather interesting. To Thrawn, this was a war waged by the Galactic Republic to prevent various star systems from seceding from a larger galaxy-wide union. The Senate of the Republic didn't want to enter the war at first, and had their hand forced for two reasons. First, the Separatists had an army of battle droids that was too big to ignore. Second, an army of clones was mysteriously created to aid the Republic without their knowledge, and it came in handy very much when they needed it. The entire war quickly began to really confuse Thrawn, not because he wasn't smart enough to understand it, but because there wasn't much to understand. To him, it all seemed like an orchestrated show, like someone was pulling the strings. And for Thrawn, this was very intriguing. He was determined to figure it out, but to figure it out, he may just have to participate in this play. And soon after, Anakin was granted a Padawan, the young Ahsoka Tano, and she quickly proved herself in battle both physically and emotionally. She was young, probably too young to be in battle, but Thrawn quickly took a liking to her as well. From a young age, Thrawn himself was heavily involved in fighting with his own people, so he quite enjoyed learning about the young Ahsoka Tano and working with her in battle, mentoring her in battle strategy. And after a year now, with Thrawn being in the Clone War with Anakin and Ahsoka, it was clear how capable of a battle strategist Thrawn truly was. The two of them worked so well together. Anakin learned not to really doubt Thrawn's planning, and Thrawn learned that Anakin and Ahsoka could accomplish nearly anything together, allowing him to expand his own strategies. And eventually, Palpatine really began to notice, especially after Thrawn got in the way of a special mission assigned to bounty hunter Cad Bane. Cad Bane was hired by Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, to infiltrate the Jedi Temple and steal a holocron containing the names of Force-sensitive children around the galaxy. Cad Bane executed the first part perfectly, and eventually Bane had a Jedi Master in custody aboard his ship to unlock the holocron for him. But Bane was interrupted sooner than expected, as Thrawn and Anakin perfectly pinpointed where he would be, and Anakin, Ahsoka, and clones infiltrated Cad Bane's ship, eventually leading to its destruction. What Anakin and Ahsoka did not know was that Bane had killed and stolen the armor of a clone trooper. He was alive, and aboard the transport bringing them all back to the Republic ship. Anakin and Ahsoka thought Cad Bane was dead, but no, he had a plan. He would arrive on the ship in this disguise and steal a fighter to get out of there with the holocron. But on the Republic ship, Thrawn learned of the events that transpired with Bane and the clones. Thrawn heard that Cad Bane had been shot and killed by a single clone trooper. Anakin even said that he saw Bane's body fall, but Thrawn had studied Cad Bane, his homeworld, his tactics, his past missions, everything. Thrawn knew Bane was far too smart to just die like this. Something was wrong, and so Thrawn ordered that all of the ships in the hangar bay, where Anakin will soon be landing, to be shut down immediately, and Thrawn made his way to the hangar. In the hangar now, Thrawn watched as the Republic transport landed, and Anakin, Ahsoka, and the clones went their separate ways. Thrawn waited patiently, and quickly he knew that he was right. One clone, wearing a backpack, turned away from the group. Ahsoka noticed it as well, and Thrawn was rather proud of her, but he told Ahsoka to wait. He had this under control. The clone, who Thrawn knew was Bane, ran and got inside of a single starship, and Thrawn knew he'd won as soon as the ship was stuck in place. Just like he'd ordered, the ships had been shut down. Thrawn had predicted this, and together he, Anakin, and Ahsoka forced Bane out of the ship and arrested him. The holocron was recovered safely. As soon Palpatine got word of Cad Bane's failure at the hands of Anakin and Thrawn, he wanted to have them on his side when his empire takes over, but they were disrupting too much. Palpatine had to do something. Sabotage would be necessary. But Palpatine had to continue the act so he called in Thrawn and awarded him the honor of already being an admiral on Anakin's ship. For Thrawn, this was another opportunity to observe Palpatine and his surroundings. In the year plus of working with Anakin and fighting in the Clone Wars, Thrawn had also studied the enemy, Count Dooku, Jedi turned Sith, and the Sith were interesting themselves. Such limited information was available about them, and Palpatine actually reminded Thrawn of Dooku, which was also interesting. In this civil war, perhaps the leaders of both sides were not too different, or perhaps they were not different at all. Thrawn had no proof of his suspicions, but the longer this war went on, the more it all felt like a play, like it was all a setup, and Thrawn knew from Palpatine's art that he was hiding something. And Thrawn decided he would truly pursue this thought process. Palpatine was up to something, deeper than anyone knew, and over the next couple months, Thrawn began to meticulously track all of their battles, and an undeniable pattern quickly began to form. Every time Anakin and Thrawn told Palpatine about a battle, or every time Palpatine assigned them to a battle, it was a clear loss, or a win with heavy casualties. There was nothing positive about them, and Thrawn actually began to enjoy playing this game. His suspicions were getting stronger, and he really enjoyed his part, because every time he and Anakin pursued a battle without informing Palpatine of their actions, they would win with rather ease. The Separatists were no real match for Thrawn's strategy, and Anakin's ability to do whatever was necessary. And eventually, Thrawn decided it was time that he include Anakin in on his suspicions. Anakin and Ahsoka were special to Thrawn. In his studies of the Jedi, these two were rather unusual. The Jedi often choose the path that is morally correct, but Anakin especially has embraced what is also strategically sound, while keeping as many men alive as possible. And Thrawn had Anakin and Ahsoka alone in a room as he pulled out his detailed records of their attacks. Thrawn had records of each battle, how long they prepared, how much time the enemy had to counter, how strategies on both sides shifted as the battles continued on, and also who authorized each battle. Thrawn allowed both Jedi to study the data. Then he turned to Ahsoka. Thrawn was extremely fond of her at this point, and had taught her a lot about battle strategy. Thrawn asked Ahsoka to find the pattern. She took her time, and after a bit, Ahsoka and Anakin seemed to notice something similar. All of their wins were authorized by the Jedi Council, while all of their defeats were orchestrated by Palpatine, and this had all started as soon as Thrawn was promoted to Admiral. Thrawn was proud of Ahsoka, and he then asked both Jedi what they thought of this data. Anakin stood up. He said Thrawn was asking them to accuse Palpatine of treason, and he simply could not do that. Palpatine is a friend and a mentor. But Thrawn was as calm as ever. This was the expected response from Anakin. As strong and capable as Anakin was, Thrawn knew he would always be blinded by his heart and the people that he keeps close to him. So Thrawn simply asked Anakin to search his feelings. Thrawn told Anakin the mysteries of the Force are an enigma to him, and he told Anakin that for all of the abilities, all the power he has, that he lacks the vision to look past these emotions. And then he told Anakin that acting out of emotion will not serve them here. They can only wait and watch, as sometimes the only way to win an orchestrated conflict such as this one is to let it play out. And Thrawn said they have been doing that for long enough. Anakin searched his feelings, and he knew this to be a possibility. Palpatine could be sabotaging them, working for both sides, but they needed more proof, and Thrawn said that he had a plan. Soon after this, Palpatine contacted Anakin and Thrawn to say their aid was needed above Mon Calamari to disrupt a Separatist blockade. Thrawn went on to describe exactly how he and Anakin would attack the Separatists, basically just giving the battle plans to Palpatine. Soon after, the call ended, and Anakin and Thrawn jumped into hyperspace. Thrawn explained that the plans he gave to Palpatine were completely fabricated. They will be executing a different strategy versus the Separatists, and if Thrawn is correct, the battle will end quickly with a win. The Separatists will be completely prepared for Thrawn's fake strategy, only to be overwhelmed by the real one. And as they came out of hyperspace, Thrawn turned to Anakin and said, "Everything leading up to this moment has been a rehearsal. The real performance is about to begin. And the end result of the battle was not surprising. Thrawn completely faked out the Separatist blockade, with the strategy given to Palpatine only to change it in the final moment. The Separatists were completely overwhelmed with Thrawn in command and Anakin flying through space. Mon Calamari was quickly open for Republic aid. But Thrawn and Anakin had a different mission now. It was clear the leader of the Republic was sabotaging them, and Thrawn's suspicions from the first time he met Palpatine were correct. He was hiding something, and what he was hiding was dangerous to the galaxy. He was behind the entire war. And so Anakin and Thrawn headed back to Coruscant, where they ended up standing in the middle of the Jedi Council. Thrawn spoke to them, saying that from the moment he got here and met Palpatine, something was off, and he told the Council that he made a choice. Participate in this war, do what is asked, and slowly over the time, the truth will reveal itself. Mace Windu asked why the Council wasn't made aware of these suspicions sooner, and Thrawn took a moment to respond, carefully considering his words. And soon, Thrawn told Windu that this type of accusation needed proof, and to get proof, Thrawn had to earn trust, and Palpatine was not easy to gain the trust of. And then Thrawn said that in order to defeat an enemy like Palpatine, someone in control of everything, one must truly know their enemy, not just battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. And he said Palpatine keeps pieces of art in his office that show what he is hiding. Then Thrawn pulled up the recorded data from the battle, clear evidence that every time Palpatine was involved with a battle, they never had a chance. This was sabotage. And Yoda asked the Council how they think they should pursue, when Thrawn asked to be with Palpatine, alone. He would carry a listening recorder device, and he could get Palpatine to admit the truth. This way, if Palpatine suspects anything, it's simply a member of the army getting in trouble, rather the entire Jedi Order being under suspicion. The Council agreed to let Thrawn try his strategy. Palpatine sat in his office alone. He felt something was off in the Force, and soon after, Thrawn entered the office and asked to speak with him. In this moment, Palpatine felt nothing in the Force. It was as if a light had been turned off. Strange, but something he would deal with after this. For now, he would speak to Thrawn. And Thrawn exuded a confidence right now, different than ever, as if he had the galaxy in the palm of his hand. And he began to speak, telling Palpatine that his reports and intel on Separatist battles have been extremely helpful for him and Anakin, more helpful than he knows. And Thrawn began to pace around the room, looking at the artwork, the statues, and he continued on, saying that after analyzing the data from the battles, it was clear to him that the Separatists have help from the inside of the Republic. Palpatine faked a surprised look, and he said that this seemed rather unlikely, but all personnel must be interrogated to find out who the spy is. Thrawn said that he's actually done his own research. He told Palpatine that patience is something he excels at, and over time he has waited, and he has watched, and as he expected, he has found the spy working for the Separatists. Thrawn said that during his patience, he learned how to turn this spy from an obstacle into an asset, until they revealed themselves to him. Palpatine had to hide a snarl on his face, as he told Thrawn that this strategy was without flaw, as always. Palpatine held out hope that Thrawn did not know the truth. But then Thrawn turned to Palpatine, blaster pointed directly at him, and he spoke again. He said that there are some things in this universe that are simply and purely evil. Thrawn said a true warrior does not seek to completely understand these things, or to compromise with them. Instead, these things must be obliterated. Palpatine reached into the Force, tried to choke Thrawn, but it didn't work. It was as if he were a Jedi Padawan trying to lift a rock for the first time. And Palpatine knew it was over when Thrawn fired a blaster bolt directly through his heart. Palpatine tried to control his midichlorians to heal himself, tried to transfer his essence, trying anything, but it didn't work. The Force was just so limited. Palpatine fell to his knees, the life draining from him as he watched Thrawn leave the office for a moment, then return with a lizard-like creature that Palpatine knew to be an Ysalamir, creatures that could impede the Force. And Palpatine died here and now, knowing he was truly outsmarted. From here, the Republic Senate would learn of this, would learn of the corruption that went all the way to the top. Many of the senators didn't really care so long as they got paid, but the good senators formed a delegation to bring to the senators that were on the side of the separatists. The war had gone on for so long, and both sides learned that they were controlled by the same person, working only for himself. Peace talks were resumed, and the separatists were allowed to form their own self-governed faction, with more freedom, lower taxes, and the droid army still available if needed. Without Sidious, Dooku did not have a way to take over the entire Republic, so he agreed to be the ruler of this newly formed government, while Bail Organa was Chancellor of the Republic. And when it was all settled, Thrawn said goodbye to Anakin. He was under a bit of suspicion for just killing Palpatine, but at the end of the day, Palpatine's actions had him up for execution anyway. Thrawn had just done what was necessary. He knew that Palpatine had control of the Senate, of the courts, of it all. There was one way to end that conflict, to end the war, and that was by killing Palpatine. And now, he was saying goodbye. Thrawn had to go back to his homeworld, and he was taking Ahsoka with him. Ahsoka wanted this. She wanted to help Thrawn's people, and if a huge threat ever emerged, Thrawn knew now that he could count on the Jedi and the clones to be there because of how he helped the Republic. Anakin promised if Thrawn ever needed anything, if Ahsoka ever needed anything, he would be there. But Ahsoka and Thrawn set off for Thrawn's people. And folks, that is where our story ends today. I hope you enjoyed. I really... It's kind of hard to write Thrawn, you know, because he's smarter than me. I gotta figure it out how to write Thrawn, and I really like the challenge. I really like how this one went. I do hope you enjoyed it as well. You know, maybe it's not perfectly done, but I did try my best, so I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. E. Solomir, you know, from the Thrawn novels, included them. That's always fun. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.